guys are awful early.
Yeah, well, we came from San Francisco.
We came all the way down.
And what does that have to do with being early?
We want to make sure.
Because if I'm driving all that way, I'm making sure I get it.
There we go. There it is, right there. Okay, now we got
Just
it.
had 2 nights at the Fillmore in San Francisco.
And what did you think of those shows?
Awesome.
Incredible.
Walking up the stairs with the man twice her size. If I had money, I'd buy her a rose, dress her in gold from her head.
Steadicam was invented in, I believe, actually 1742, before the camera, interestingly enough. It was invented in Vienna. Lots of things were. Vienna was a hotbed of technological innovation in the 1700s. It was invented by Mr. Stedi, and he had a camera, and really, it's all conceptual, and it's too much for you rock and roll people to understand, but look it up on Wikipedia, it's all true.
Stays out of the sun, waits for the rain to fall down on her tongue.
Hey, it's Robert. Hey, we are here for the final Mudcrutch performance on the 2016 tour. We are at Humphreys Live backstage tonight in San Diego, California. Absolutely stunningly beautiful day here. A little outdoor show. I think you guys are going to dig this tonight. Little stage, little PA, little old band from Gainesville. So I'll get us turned around here, give you kind of a little tour of where we're going into today. Excited to be finishing up on this, even though it's been a really, really great little run with these guys. I think we've done 20 some odd shows now. Been really fun. Been really fun to see Tom and a couple of the guys in this mode out here. It's been really cool. I think the audience has definitely picked up on it too. Been really great. Shelters are sound checking right now. We'll be pulling it all together and then packing it up and sending it back to the shop tonight. I am excited to get home tomorrow. Been a long couple of months for this boy right here. I don't mind telling you, I am ready to go home for a little bit. So this has been fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed all this. It's been really fun putting it together. I look forward to the next time we do this. Have a lot more extravagance in it. You know, we'll put a little more detail, a little more thought into it, make it a little less kind of off the cuff every day, hopefully. So hopefully we'll be out next year and do some things with that, all right? So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll check in with you again after the show and let you know how it all went tonight, all right? We'll see you guys. Take care. Have a great summer if I don't talk to you. Bye-bye. All right, a couple of you guys have written in on YouTube and Facebook and even Twitter kind of asking how I'm dealing with drums, how I'm doing drum sounds, etc., how I'm getting the sounds at the show. You know, I'll take you up and show you how we're miking the kit, etc., and I'll just run you through the entire drum processing chain today to give you some sense of what we're doing out here. It's very straightforward, but you know, simplicity is the good thing sometimes, right? So I'll take you through it. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, we're up on stage. I'm going to talk a little bit about drum miking here and how we're getting some of the drum sounds. So obviously you're looking at the kit right here from the front view. For the bass drum, we have a Beta 52 and an SM91 on the inside. We do just a hair of time alignment on those two mics. I'll take you through that once we get back to the console. So give me a second here. I'll try to sneak around and get on the other side of the kit. All right. So the kit itself is actually very, very simple. As you can kind of see here, SM57 on top, KM184, Neumann KM184 on bottom, KM184 on the hi-hat. We have Sennheiser, I think there's 609s on the toms. Also have another KM184 underneath the ride cymbal, and then I currently have a pair of 414s as overheads. There it is. And I have taken the time to actually time align those 414s to the snare drum. I actually have a snare drum that I put in place that has a speaker on it. We run some pink noise through that. Use one of the overhead mics once we have it positioned as the smart reference, and then physically align the other mic to the noise coming out of that snare position. Right? And it makes for a really strong center image of snare drum in the drum mix. Okay, so really, like I said, couldn't get much more simple than what we do up here with this drum kit. It's a very simple thing, but it actually sounds pretty good out front. I'm really happy with the drum sounds we got overall here. All right, so I'm going to head out front now, and I'll show you what we're doing out front at the console with the kit there. All right. Okay, we're back up at the console now, and I'll take you through kind of each one of the inputs here and kind of show you how I'm dealing with it, and we can also talk just really briefly about parallel compression and etc. It's also worth noting that I do take a lot of time within these inputs to re-time align them back to a 0 kind of offset reference, even though I'm using multiple plug-in instantiations on inputs and parallel processing. It can get a little complex to do it, but it's very important that you guys do this on digital consoles, in my opinion, to create or keep the original phase relationship between the microphones intact. If you just go and start inserting plugins on inputs, especially within a drum kit, and don't pay attention to the additional offset that you're creating between the microphones, you can really get yourself into trouble in terms of phase. So pay attention here. Even though you're going to do this, you really want to pay attention to the time offset and reestablish it with some manual delay compensation. All right, so let's get to it here. So I'm going to take you up and really just kind of show you via the CTMs what I got going on here. As you can see, you're going to see a common theme among almost all of these drum inputs, probably with the exception of the snare bottom. I don't necessarily do this on the snare bottom, even though I probably will in the future. I just haven't taken the time to do it here. I haven't felt the need to do it given the kind of snare sound I'm going for. But check this out. This is my kick in, kick out, snare top, snare bottom. This is the snare goo channel, which I covered in a previous post. The hi-hat, the ride cymbal, floor tom, rack tom. This is an overhead I'm not using on this particular show. This is the 414s in the spread pair that you see. And then you'll also see a channel, this is a stereo channel that I have listed called KST, which stands for kick, snare, and toms. And then one right beside it called Spank. These are my parallel paths to be able to do parallel processing on kick, snare, and toms. And then of course you'll see a drum room and a drum plate. All right. So the common theme that you'll see plug-in wise here is that you'll see on each one of these channels I have an SPL twin tube, followed by a Pultec, followed by a Phoenix 2. All right, and they have very specific jobs that they do on these drums. And again, I want to re-emphasize, especially for this type of music. All right, so I'm going to go over here to the plug-in screen and actually call up a plug-in here so that you can see it. I'm going to call up the actual snare drum so you can see it here. And the first thing you notice is that I have an AE400 on the snare drum here, and really this is actually doing some very specific task here. If you can kind of see the filter sets that I have in here, these are really just to kind of help out our drummer a little bit, because he's, you know, with all due respect to him, he's not the greatest at staying on center in the drum, and he has a tendency sometimes to kind of drift off center in the drum, and it'll make it honk a little bit. So I've got some some dynamic equalization that happens on that drum, so that if he gets off center, it kind of negates that honk a little bit. That's the filter that you see right there. That's a little 200, 250 filter. Okay, but short of that, on all the drums, we have this other processing chain. You'll have the twin tube. I think I might have actually covered this in part of a previous post, but the twin tube there is to emulate analog preamp distortion. So we have really great control over the harmonic content as well as the saturation characteristics of that pre, and I can really dial this in to taste, you know, in a very creative manner on a per channel basis. So you'll see one of these on every one of my drum inputs. In addition, it goes from there to a broad shaping Pultec. This is probably my favorite equalizer of all time. I love doing this one and using these shapes on drums, especially if I'm going for kind of vintage, very analog-y drum sounds. This is exactly how I would do it in the studio as well. Followed up by Phoenix, and in this situation, Phoenix is actually emulating or replicating the type of compression that you would get in tape saturation, right? So I have the ability to saturate the pre in emulation. I have the ability to do broadband tube equalization, and then followed by tape saturation. And again, just to drive the point home, this is exactly this type of path I would put in place if I was doing analog recording. I would have the same mindset doing that here. And it's part of the beautiful thing about digital, that we've never been able to do these kinds of things in analog, in live sound before. We can do them very effectively now in live sound. Okay, so that's on all, you know, the vast majority of the inputs are dealt with in that manner. If we go back over to our parallel path, that's this guy here, the KST and the Spank, and I'll roll that up here. So basically the way this works is that I take a stereo aux out through a pair of plugins and return them to 2 stereo channels, and then I process one of them to be the spank, meaning it's going to have some equalization, some more tape saturation on it, and some relatively extreme compression on it, and then it's going to be added in with the uncompressed version of those drums. Okay, I've covered this in previous videos. I actually put out one complete video on YouTube that covers this in process entirely, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time here explaining it, but you guys can go check out that video, and I think I even explained there how to get all of your drum kit back in its original phase relationship once you do these sorts of things. Okay, so obviously on the drums that I have inserts on, they're going to have a different time relationship to things like overheads where I don't have those inserts on there. So you know, we've created extra time for those close mic inputs, and we need to realign that at the output. And if you'll notice, I'll just do it here, I've actually made the times that are needed to do that part of my label on the drum channel itself. So you can see I need 34 samples of delay on the kick drum or the kick drums in order to get them back in time with the amount of insert that I have on the snare drum here. My snare drum is the longest time, so it is actually the reference, and then I have to backfill delay in inputs to put it all back in time with the original time of the snare top microphone. Okay, so it takes a little bit of time to do it. I've actually created a spreadsheet that allows me to do that. I just enter the snare reference time, and it'll automatically calculate the other times that I need in there once I put in the times for the other channels as well. It'll calculate the offset that I need to put in terms of samples. All right. Short of that, you know, my kick, snare, and toms, and even part of my overheads, etc., go to my drum room. Kick, snare, and toms only go to the drum plate, and then those two things are added together. Those are pretty dramatically different sounding processes on the drum kit. You can come up with a very produced, very good sounding drum kit that sounds like it's been handled in a studio in a live setting just by combining those two different approaches to ambience on your drum kit. All right. Well, that's about, we're about 7-8 minutes into it now for this. Obviously, we could spend a lot of time on drum processing, but since I had specific requests on how to deal with that, I thought I would just show you that and try to give you an overall view of it, okay? That's it for the tips and tricks. That'll be our last one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We're going to be out of here soon. This is our last show tonight here at Humphreys, so again, I hope you guys have enjoyed these. Please give us some feedback on it. I'm glad to chat with you guys about this kind of stuff anytime, so take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Take this badge off of me. I can't use it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. I feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door.
Hey, it's Robert. Okay, so we're just wrapping up the final performance of Mudcrutch on their 2016 tour here in San Diego. Really nice, beautiful, beautiful night tonight here. Really nice show. So, last one. Thanks everybody for coming and paying attention to these blogs. I hope they kind of met your expectations. They were really fun to put together. I had a really great time putting these things together. So, like I said, we'll try to do more of them in the future on future events, things like that. So. Please stay in touch. Let me know how it's going out there in the world for you guys. If you have issues or other things, you know, that you want me to help you tend to, I'm always glad to do it. Always glad to chime in. You know, free opinions. You know what that's worth, right? So feel free to contact me. Short of that, look me up on Avid events, things like that. I'll be out doing some promo stuff for Avid. Work is always continuing on the latest consoles, etc. So always excited to do that. But thanks again, guys. We'll see you guys down the road. Stay in touch. Bye-bye.